These type of arrivals at the external borders of the European Union must be prevented. Migrants coming from safe countries must be returned quickly. The new Asylum and Migration Pact promises less migration and tougher enforcement. But the expert who closely follows these European agreements is already warning of failure.
I think anybody who cares about the European Union, the future of asylum policy, the future of our alliances must be very worried. There's been so many expectations, so many promises, and if we look at what is likely to happen this summer, we are going to discover a huge failure. Because what we have currently, the promises that have been made for better control at the borders, less irregular migration, more return, they will not be fulfilled.
Migrants who have no chance of receiving asylum must quickly be returned to their country of origin. That is one of the key elements of the new European Pact. Implementation is scheduled to begin in June. But according to the migration expert, nothing has been prepared.
How did you come to this conclusion? Because it's a harsh conclusion.
The core question, how you deal with the unwillingness of countries to accept back people they don't want to accept, this core question was never answered. When the agreement was reached, I then reached out to ministries of interior, experts in the governments that negotiated. And over in public, everybody said, this is a breakthrough, we finally have an agreement. When I talked to people in private, including ministers, including in the last few months, and I asked them, how will this work? I explain our doubts. I say, there will be no more returns. There will be no change. There are quite a few ministers of interior and ministers of migration who told me, you're right. So we have a real crisis coming, that expectations have been raised, and then the summer will come. And at a time when the far right is accusing Europe of failing to control migration, Europe, the member states and the institutions, will indeed look like they are failing on migration. And that's a very bad signal at a very tense time.
Under the new European rules, authorities must quickly distinguish between actual refugees with a chance of asylum and migrants from safe countries. Those from safe countries would be detained in reception facilities like these. Their departure must be arranged legally and practically within 12 weeks.
Let's be very optimistic and say they manage in 12 weeks. Then, if they are rejected, they're supposed to be returned. And that's where the whole thing breaks down. Italy under Giorgia Meloni is unable to return people. It returns a few Tunisians, but it doesn't return people to Sub-Saharan Africa. It doesn't return people to Bangladesh. The same is true for most European countries. None of them manage to return significant numbers because it doesn't depend on them. It depends on the countries that are supposed to receive people. So if this isn't solved, and it isn't solved at the moment, there is no reason for Bangladeshis not to continue to travel to Libya or Tunisia, get into a boat, risk their life, many drown, but those who arrive in Europe know that they can stay.
What will happen then with these people after 12 weeks?
It's not in the interest of the countries. Italy has no interest in detaining large numbers of people in the south of Italy. So what will happen is what we've seen the last 20 years. They will either disappear in the gray or black economy, work illegally, or they will move on to the north of Europe. They will go to France, the Benelux countries, or Germany.
If the European Union does not come up with solutions soon, Knaus warns that pressure may grow to look toward the United States for alternatives.
If we fail with humane control, the far right across Europe is looking to the US. What it sees in the US is the Trump way of stopping irregular migration. This is deterrence through terror, which is unlawful. It's against the EU legislation, human rights law, EU law, national law. But it is an alternative that some political parties are proposing.
According to Knaus, agreements should be made with 3 to 4 African countries under favorable conditions. All migrants entering Europe would then be transferred directly there, where their full asylum procedures would be handled. Since December, the European Union has had the legal possibility to realize such arrangements.
It could be Rwanda, it could be Kenya, it could be other countries. It depends on what we offer these countries. They must see it as in their interest. We say from the 1st of July, everyone who crosses from Eastern Libya to Greece, Rwanda is ready to take them. We then prepare that we can do the procedures that are legally required. We can transfer people to Rwanda. We make sure that their human rights are guaranteed, and there is a fair way to assess their protection needs if they exist. If that could be set up, a few thousand returns would probably close the route without violence, force, or violation of human rights.
The expert criticizes European leaders who could have prepared joint migration deals earlier with partner countries in Africa.
I've been in touch with governments, and I've been in touch with governments that might be partners. And for the moment, it's not happening yet. But perhaps the realization that we cannot afford, after years of negotiating a big EU reform, to see this fail in the eyes of our public. Perhaps this fear of failure will drive governments to use the next few months so that from the summer we have safe third country agreements in place.